We will just take 2 minutes before we go.
In the meantime, we can sort of.
Sir, તમે muted છો. Kishore Mehta sir. Yes.
Now, what made you to select this topic?
So this is the most fantastic question to be asked before the session, and the best way to start the session. I personally feel that this is the mother of all the repertories. Least explored, least utilized clinically, and academically also. There is only one small short note in the final year. So the whole genius of this repertory has been reduced to a short note, and that is the memory with what most generations of homeopaths have educated, including myself. So almost more than, I believe, as long as the syllabus has been formed, this repertory and Boenninghausen's work has been kept at a very long distance from all of us. We have to remember that Boenninghausen was Hahnemann's direct disciple in connect with Hahnemann. And it was the demand of Hahnemann, in fact, to create a repertory beyond his fragmenta, where he felt that now the need for a better design is required. And he had brought in 2 of his assistants, or 2 of his disciples, not even assistants, because both these 2 great men, Jar and Boenninghausen, they were stalwarts in their own ways. They were Hahnemann's disciples, and he put forward this requirement, this need, that there is a need for a new structure in the repertory. And both of them presented their structures. And Hahnemann found Boenninghausen's therapeutic pocketbook having a very robust structure and extremely reliable. Now, it's very interesting how these 2 great men, Hahnemann and Boenninghausen, worked before publishing the therapeutic pocketbook. The history sometimes becomes very clinically pertinent. History otherwise is most of the time is just left out into the textbook, and we really don't see the clinical importance of this history. So I will just bring this very small, tiny point. If you read the introduction of the therapeutic pocketbook, the pocketbook mentions that before this 126 remedies were published, just a second, I will have to take Dr. Kamlesh Mehta's call.
Yeah.
Hello. Sir. Okay, I will take you. If sir needs to get admitted in, how do I do that?
What happened?
Okay. Kamlesh Mehta sir has got admitted now. He is joining us.
Oh, admitted. I was wondering what you are talking. You
So
said
he's admitted in the room.
Kamlesh Mehta is admitted, so I was wondering.
In the room. Okay. So, welcome, Kamlesh Mehta sir. Please switch on your video. We would like to see you. So I was, Kishore Mehta sir just asked me this question, what made you choose this topic? And I was just answering it. So I will finish the answer to this question before I welcome both my teachers to this forum. So I was bringing forth how these 2 great men thought through. When Boenninghausen had put through this design of the therapeutic pocketbook first, he did not just bring out and said, okay, this is the new design, let's start working on it. No. He came with a pilot study of the polycrasis. He said we tested this on the polycress remedies and we found that this is extremely reliable clinically. And then on, he went on to add the other remedies in it, small and large, both. So there was a pilot study that was done before the publication. Found both of these men and the contemporary homeopaths of that time found this extremely reliable, the structure of the therapeutic pocket. So that's a very interesting insight into how Boenninghausen thought through his projects and the scientificity of experimentation that was rigidly followed by Hahnemann and Boenninghausen himself is something that needs to be emulated by our generation. And we need to inculcate the spirit of science and the logic. So with this answer to Sir's question, I welcome my two teachers, Dr. Kishore Mehta sir, Dr. Kamlesh Mehta sir. Two of them have been very instrumental and have been very inspiring figures for me in my career. Dr. Kishore Mehta sir, for being there with me in my most difficult times. And today I am here listening or talking, sharing is surely because of him. And the spirit of learning that I get from him, even at this seniority, where he's willing to learn, is something that I wish to emulate and inculcate in myself. And Dr. Kamlesh Mehta sir, from him I learned the lessons of humility, which I always tell him. That Kamlesh Mehta sir joined in the college. My CMP was my alma mater, where he joined when I was in the final year. And the kind of person that he is, he would bear all my rudeness with all that warm acceptance. Because I, as a young graduate with a lot of energy and a lot of arrogance, I remember still where we were in Sir's OPD and he was explaining a case and something that I could not gulp his explanation. And I actually walked out of the OPD, which I believe if I were in his place, it would have been a big offense for me. But it hardly mattered much to him. And till date, I will still share things. We will exchange a lot of ideas and thoughts. So this got me to understand that there is something more that we need to focus upon. The matter, I told him why I didn't agree with him. And we could have a discussion on that. And that's the point, that you leave behind who you are when it comes down to scientific forum. And you talk about what is your premise on which you are putting up this discussion or an argument. And this is precisely the spirit of Boenninghausen. To choose logic over fixed ideas or rigid premises, to cross pollinate fields, disciplines. That is his creativity and the greatest contribution. I think most of us would have even forgotten his greatest and the most fundamental contribution of Boenninghausen is in our case papers every day when we fill up the LSMC, where does it come from? The basic components of our portrait, it basically comes from Boenninghausen's contribution to homeopathy. His 5 W's and 1 H. So we will not get into the details of that because I will stick to the topic. So this is exactly what has happened to Boenninghausen's contribution. That his contribution is so fundamental to our science. It is like the roots of the tree that once the branches are all spread out, the roots are almost forgotten. And we are no more in direct touch with the roots. And probably it's my understanding, my desire that once again, let us get back to the roots. And therefore, I also choose this topic. So coming to the topic of bursting the myths about the therapeutic pocketbook. So last almost a decade or a little over a decade, I am actively sharing my experiences of the therapeutic pocketbook and Boenninghausen's works. And I find that whatever is the level, whether seniors or juniors, my own peers, when the therapeutic pocketbook is discussed, people are left with a kind of lot of discomfort. So, and it's interesting for me to see this discomfort because it touches us somewhere very deeply and points out that something is that which we have overlooked in our journey. And why do we overlook? Why have we overlooked this very pocket book? Exactly the size is that of a pocket book. That is why it is called the pocket book. Why have we overlooked it? And I thought, let me just bring this to awareness or as to what's happening in our brains when we talk about the therapeutic pocket book. The very idea that it is a pocket book, the very idea that it is so small, the very idea that it has only 126 remedies is one of the first reasons why this repertory is rejected. Kya faida? Now we have got big repertories. No, we have got 2,000 remedies. We have got. So what? And all that is included. That is what is thought. That in our big repertories, the therapeutic pocketbook is included. And the biggest misconception is in the BBCR, the Boenninghausen's characteristics repertory, the therapeutic pocketbook is included. And the contemporary generation does not even use the BBCR. We use all the newer big repertories. Nothing against the newer repertories. They are fantastic. But this reason that it is too small a book may not be very correct. In all the acute cases, my first line of action is the therapeutic pocketbook. If we scrutinize all your acute cases, in anybody's clinic, you will find that 90% of the prescriptions of the acute cases come from the 126 remedies that are listed in the therapeutic pocketbook. You rarely see a prescription like argon or neon in an acute case. You come down to very basic fundamental remedies, which are all listed in the therapeutic pocketbook. So one needs to figure out the quantity versus the quality. The therapeutic pocketbook is exceptionally accurate. It is accurate in three dimensions. And we never ask ourselves before opening any repertory, what is the accuracy of this repertory and how do we measure the accuracy of the repertory? In the therapeutic pocketbook, it is accurate in terms of the data that is put. The error rate in the therapeutic pocketbook is 0.001%. That means the correctness of the data. No error in remedy as well as the symptom, what is come in the proving. The error rate of 0.01 is one entry wrong in 1,000 entries. This is the accuracy achieved when there were no computers, there were no machines, everything done manually. It is an unmatched accuracy in the correctness of the data. The second accuracy is at the level of the symptom grades. If we read again the introduction very carefully, Boenninghausen said that I could make a 5 grade only. And there is the error is only of half an interval. So he has worked through this system of gradation even in his repertory of antisoric and repertory of asoric remedies, which were the precedents of the therapeutic pocketbook. This is the level of accuracy in the gradation system. The gradation system of any repertory, it reflects the hierarchy and the importance of the symptoms in the proving. And this is where the greatest error occurs. The accuracy, the gradation, the symptom hierarchy of the proving has to be most accurately represented in your repertory. A small error in that will change the shade of the portrait of the remedy. Even if you have 10 symptoms in which you have done a wrong gradation, you are going to change the flavor of the remedy. We are going to change the portrait of the remedy. And in my understanding, the Kantian style of repertories have broken down the remedies into pieces, into symptoms. As opposed to this, the therapeutic pocketbook, and in fact, there is no lineage of therapeutic pocketbook like repertories. It is in fact the only repertory which has the ability to pull out portraits, not symptoms. There is a big difference between these two things. We look for symptoms. When it comes to repertory, we want to match symptoms. But what is it that we have to actually match? We have to match portraits, portrait of the case versus portrait of the remedy. And therefore, it is the responsibility of the repertory to represent, reflect the portrait of the proving remedy proving to the physician. And unfortunately, the Kantian style of the repertories do not do this well. They fragment the proving into many symptoms as it is. And we don't want to just fragment it, but we want the synthesis also to happen. We want to bring a portrait, no? So this is one of the reasons of rejection of this, and it is a, I would like to say, a myth. The second part, if we look at how do we choose our repertory, most of the times our repertories are chosen on the base what my colleague is using, let us use it. The in thing, what is the in thing to use, you will use for every case. The other thing is what is taught in my curriculum is what I will use. What is not taught in the curriculum, I don't choose. The third thing is the comfort. Now, this comfort of using a particular repertory creeps in at a slightly senior level. Maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years of practice, and then you start becoming comfortable with one repertory and you don't want to get out of a comfort zone to try out a new repertory. You say, okay, with this repertory, I'm able to solve my cases. I don't need to get out of it. So I always give an analogy to my students when I teach that if you are relying only on one or two repertories, no, in your practice, then you are like a surgeon who says, look, I know only how to use the scalpel and I know how to use the forceps. I don't know how to use any other instruments, and now I'm going to operate you with just these knowledge of these two instruments. Would you like to get yourself operated with this surgeon? The answer is obviously no, no. So as a homeopath, how can we just rely on one or two repertories for which we are comfortable with for every case? My personal understanding is at least minimum 5 repertories we have to know very thoroughly, with its structure, with its philosophy, with its weakness and strength, and also to know in which clinical setting which repertory to use, which clinical setting which repertory not to use. And at a more higher and advanced level, which two combination of two repertories might be even more helpful than using one single repertory. So we need to look at the processes that we are using to choose a repertory. Most of them, they are all fired. They are not based on logic and they are not based on factual data. They are based on a bias. That is the second point that I wanted to bring about. It is the repertory is too, the therapeutic pocketbook is too overlooked and under taught. So recently there was this, we were asked that if any suggestions need to be done to the change in the syllabus. Kishore Mehta sir is here, Kamlesh Mehta sir is here. I feel the proportion in which Boenninghausen and Kent are taught has to be exactly reversed. We have to have predominantly Boenninghausen's work, follow it up with Kent's work. Because Boenninghausen's work is highly scientific and extremely factual. As opposed to this, Kent's work, at least in his lectures that we read, has got to do with a lot of metaphysics and lot of philosophy, which is good for an experienced person to see the facts through that philosophy. But for a budding homeopath, I personally feel the grounding that Boenninghausen gives without metaphysical explanations is very solid, and it will inculcate a lot of confidence in the juniors, and even I believe even in the middle level practitioners. It gives a very solid foundation of the philosophy, of the repertory, and of the materia medica also. The third that I feel, the third myth, the third fixed idea that we have got is argument given by Kent that therapeutic pocketbook overgeneralizes everything. In fact, and then the idea that people have raised during my lecture is, sir, what do you do with the contradictory modality in the remedy? Now, this is a very interesting puzzle which Boenninghausen has sorted out through his grades, through his gradations. The modality which is contradictory is balanced out by a lower grade of the symptom. Therefore, it doesn't come up too strong in the analysis. And the idea of overgeneralization, which Kent himself talks about, doesn't come through in the practice. Because clinically, it is just not possible to overgeneralize anything. That is, the practical experiences born out this. And the last is again coming back to that idea of quantity. If I have a repertory which gives me 2000 remedies, it makes me more secure that I have a less chance that I will miss out the right remedy. But the experience doesn't actually prove that. I share one recent case, very tiny case of an acute panic attack. And I had to make the prescription for that acute panic attack itself. And I use the therapeutic pocketbook. And of course, we will talk to that point a little bit. For an acute psychiatric problem, where most of the times it is thought, it is also believed that Boenninghausen did not give importance to the mental symptom, which is completely wrong. In this acute psychiatric panic attack, the remedy that popped up when I put the analysis in the therapeutic pocketbook was Magnetus polus australis. This is a remedy I have never studied. And when I opened that repertory and I found this picture of that patient, it was exactly what it is the patient was talking. And giving a single dose of that remedy in 24 hours, the panic attack completely calmed down. I am just giving you one example. When I put the same symptoms, exactly the same symptoms, in a bigger repertory, which had 2,500 remedies, nowhere in the first 10 did Magnetus polus australis even surface up to give me a suggestion. There are plenty of such experiences. So I would urge all the audience, my students who would be attending this, my colleagues, let us re-examine this mother of all repertories, the gem that Boenninghausen has left for us, and let us remove and declutter all these fixed ideas that we have about Boenninghausen's work, or we don't have about his work at all. Let us learn about his work. And let us re-look into where this wonderful and extremely powerful tiny instrument will help us in our clinics. The use of the therapeutic pocketbook not only made me extremely confident in dealing with cases as a repertory, but it gave me a much wider philosophical perspective as written in the organon, and not get lost into the metaphysical Kantian philosophy. So with this, I shared what I had to. I will leave the space open to Kishore Mehta sir, Kamlesh Mehta sir. Sir, please unmute your mic. Your audio.
Munjal sir, Keyur here. Sorry to interrupt. May I ask
Yes.
you to make me host so that I can highlight both of them?
Come again.
May I ask you to make me the host? If you go to the
Acha, how
audience,
do I? Okay,
click
okay,
on
okay.
more.
Yes. I am not able to
No, me,
see
not
Kamlesh
Kishore Mehta sir.
sir.
Me. Could you please make me host?
Okay, Keyur, I'll make you a host also. You are already the host, I think.
No, sir, I am not.
Kishore Mehta as
I'm just opening my video. Huh?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just
Please.
opening my video. Give me 1 minute.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Kishore Mehta sir, I would request you to click on the more button next to your next to my name and make me the host.
Kamlesh Mehta, sir, I'm not able to see him. Is he there?
Yes, he's there.
Okay.
Sir, can you please click on reclaim host?
Reclaim host.
Go to participants. And if
I
you
go
click
to
in,
participant.
if you click in front of Dr. Kishore Mehta's more option,
Yes.
is there an option to reclaim host?
Right click.
No, there is a more option.
Okay, more is there. 1 minute. No. There is nothing like that. Reclaim host. Yes.
Yeah, please click on that.
Okay, I have done that.
Okay, and now in front of my name, click on more.
Okay. Reclaim host for your name also.
No, just reclaim host. That's it. Click on reclaim host in front of Kishore Mehta.
Okay, so all of them who are here, they have become hosts.
No. Now go in front of my name. There is a more option.
Yes.
Make host.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now I'll do the needful.
How do I make Dr. Kamlesh Mehta host?
No, you don't need to make him the host. Now I'll manage it from here.
Now you manage it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kishore Mehta, sir, you are live.
Yeah.
Kishore Mehta, sir, you are live now.
Yeah. I am very much online. Who is speaking, Dr. Kamlesh Mehta or Kishore Mehta?
Kishore Mehta, sir.
Okay. I think Dr. Kamlesh has a much more greater experience as a teacher in repertory. I would wish he should first enlighten us so that we are able to understand in greater detail about Boenninghausen's repertory, because academically and clinically in repertory, let me admit that he has more experience than me as far as repertory is concerned. And therefore, of course, I will speak, but I think more time should be given to Dr. Kamlesh for a better learning. Dr. Kamlesh, am I right?
Yeah.
Is Dr. Kamlesh online?
Yes, sir, he's here.
Thank you very
Hello,
much, sir.
can you hear me? Yeah. Welcome, Dr. Kamlesh.
Thank you very much. Ultimately, whatever I learned of repertory R or Boenninghausen B is from you people only. You were my teacher and you always remain my teacher, sir.
Wrong.
And Dr. Munjal,
repertory anytime in my life to anybody. Anyway, go ahead, please.
Dr. Munjal, thank you very much for joining us
Welcome,
for
sir.
this interesting topic of busting myths. Now, those who are holding myths, it is beyond our capacity to bust it because they are holding it. They don't want to leave it. Okay, but even then, it is worth putting our efforts and put it across that Dr. Boenninghausen, as you rightly put across, the person who has given a lot to repertory, and it is almost synonymous to repertory. As we say, he is the father of repertory. Though the idea originated from Dr. Henneman, he is the originator, but the one who made the acceptable repertory, even to Dr. Henneman, was Dr. Boenninghausen. We know that from 1805 to 1832, Dr. Henneman left no efforts left out to make one repertory. Even in 1830, he employed Dr. Jar to have a repertory to lay the foundation of the future repertory. But that was not possible, nor his own repertory in 1830 he could publish. So that is why Dr. Boenninghausen is very well accepted as a father of repertory. The point is that he was the one could not be overlooked. It is something like that you love or you hate Boenninghausen, but you can't ignore Dr. Boenninghausen. And his repertory was very much well accepted and was in the practice. But till the later time, when as the time passes away, when there are a lot of repertories by that time in the market, at the same time, the original fundamental philosophy, when we go on compromising on it, so obviously we start feeling problem with that particular tool because we don't know how to operate it, we have not conceptualized it, and we do not have the adequate skill to use it. And so we blame the tool rather than the methods that we are putting in. In 1896, Dr. Kent came out with the repertory of his own. And in his preface, he admits that those who are well versed with Boenninghausen's therapeutic pocketbook, I don't need to teach them how to use my repertory using the general. That itself speaks about that Boenninghausen was the great foundation for all the future repertories. And then Dr. Kent adds, but for the noise, for the new people, for the beginners, I am giving the steps how to use my repertory. What does that mean? That Boenninghausen cannot be overlooked, cannot be forgotten, and has to be accepted if one has to move ahead on the lines of repertory and repertorization. The second point, in how to study repertory. In that particular literature, Dr. Kent says that those who know Boenninghausen's work, they know how to use analogy in the successful manner. Oh, so that means analogy was also accepted very well by the Dr. Kent, to the extent Dr. Kent writes that anamnesis requires to be completed with help of analogy. So when there is a paucity in the case taking or in the materia medica, what fills up the gap is the analogy. Dr. Kent again says that remedy relationship, the concordance that Dr. Boenninghausen has given that requires to be acknowledged. And nobody has done work on this to this extent. But at the same time, he was also captured under the myths. He has put across the point, as Dr. Munjal has said very rightly, that he talks about Dr. Boenninghausen as overgeneralized. He said that Boenninghausen has overgeneralized particular symptoms. And using his repertory and his such general rubrics, it is hit or miss. And most of the time, it is the miss rather than hit. So there is a first criticism comes out from Dr. Kent about Boenninghausen. At the same time, in his lectures, he mentions, and that comes very, very heavily, that Boenninghausen is not Hahnemannian. He comes very heavily stating, this is another myth, that concomitance, Boenninghausen's concomitance is not Hahnemannian. And it should be banned, it should be out of the homeopathic practice. So why these two things are happening? Why these myths? The first thing is particulars are overgeneralized. If we read Boenninghausen's original preface, and thereby he mentions very clearly that my entire plan has been replanned and I have rearranged all the symptoms in the form of components of the symptoms. And there he is not generalizing thing, but rubrics are general rubrics. It means all the possible drugs which are capable to cure, affinity to affect that particular part, or has the capacity to cure that particular sensation, or has a capacity to cure those particular effect of the circumstances, that is morality and time. Those things he has collected at one place so that you don't miss them out. He has not generalized, he has not overgeneralized. In entire preface, he has not used anywhere any word of generalization. It is our heading or title given to his work that he has grand generalized. He has not put across that particular idea at all. So he has given the groups of the drug for these three main components of location, UB, sensation, and the modalities Quimodo and Quiondo. Also that includes Car, possession. So this is what he has put as a main structure of his repertory therapeutic pocketbook. It is the location, sensation and modalities, and location, mind and other parts and body. And under parts of the body, all the chapters that come out. And one chapter, group of chapters on location, one chapter on sensation, one chapter on modality. That is all about this repertory, where he has not generalized anything, but in general, he has given the group of the drugs which has the capacity to cure that particular aspect of location, sensation, or modality. And concomitants are given throughout. Any chapter can be concomitant to any other thing, except in some of the parts of the repertory has given concomitants. He has added specifically. Here, when we come to the point of concomitant understood by Dr. Kent, that it is non-Hahnemannian and it should be bent, the example that he has given is that in every case, we have location, we have sensation, we have modalities and symptoms coming together at that time. Symptoms coming along with. So concomitant he has said. He has no objection about location, sensation and modality. And thereby he is giving one example that if problem is in the pelvis and along with and patient has also pain in the lower limb. So how the pelvis or any other symptom of the chest symptom can be connected with the pain in the lower limb? What he has not mentioned is the time relationship between these two things coming together. Dr. Kent has missed out the time relationship of the symptoms occurring together, because that was, if we understand the sole aspect of existence of homeopathy. In homeopathy, Dr. Hahnemann shifted from whatever prevailing practice he was having was because he had to see the suffering of the patient occurring at the same time. So the suffering of the patient is somewhere else, not only at the site of the pathology. They are related to the person who is suffering. When at the local site, the pathological symptoms are occurring, at the same time, some other sets of symptoms are occurring in the patient, which coming together, which makes the holistic approach. And this holistic approach guided him and attracted him to homeopathy. And that is why concomitant symptoms, they belong to the person. That is what the individualistic aspect and the holistic aspect, because they don't belong to the pathology. And so they are Hahnemannian and they are homeopathic, because they are occurring at the same time. This time relationship has been missed out by Dr. Kent in his literature. So it is not the point of the associated symptoms. It is the point of symptoms occurring concurrently at the same point of time, having the time relationship. And that is why we have to understand Boenninghausen holistically, taking every aspect into the account, and then it is possible to bust the myths. Now, Dr. Kent, for example, why I am putting across the example of Dr. Kent, because all the successive repertories are based on Kentian format. And Dr. Kent has formed general rubrics and particular rubrics. Now here, general rubrics, maybe it is a particular symptom, means it is occurring in all the chapters. In all the chapters, including chapter of mind and generalities, there are general rubrics and particular rubrics. So these general rubrics is the rubric which in general includes all the possible drugs which can cure such symptom. So that is what Dr. Boenninghausen has done. Dr. Kent has done as per the particular part of the chapters. But for individualization, he did it on the ground of the particular rubric. Whereas Dr. Boenninghausen has given the idea of combination of rubrics from various chapters to particularize, to understand the characteristic of that symptom. That is the difference. Here in the Kent format, we get it ready-made, whereas in Boenninghausen format, you have to take from the location, if a location is important, sensation and modality, and combine. So he has worked on the combination to overlook the limitation of the materia medica and apply through combination, apply the concept of analogy which is given by Dr. Henneman. And even then, where was the go for Dr. Kent? He had no choice but to make generalities chapter to support the lacunae if they are occurring at the level of the chapters, in the particular or in the general rubric. This generalities chapter is totally influenced by Dr. Boenninghausen, which Dr. Kent has adapted from Dr. Jar. The 29th chapter of Dr. Jar's repertory is generalities. And of course, that was the idea and the structure we find in the Lee's repertory also. That was the so many chapters he had decided, though he made only 2 chapters. And that was considered to be the second edition of Dr. Lippi's. So Lippi has also taken up the same plan. So this plan of generalities is adapted from Dr. Boenninghausen. So I hope this helps us in busting the myths. If any myths which are still untouched, we can do it. And Dr. Kishore Mehta, who has understood Henneman very well. So Boenninghausen, who is Hennemanian Boenninghausen, we have to see from Dr. Kishore Mehta sir's point of view, from his perspective, and that will help us further to understand. Thank you, Dr. Munjal.
Thank you, sir.
Kishore Mehta sir and KU. And now this is over to Dr. KU.
Thank you, sir. Munjal sir, if we can take up Q&A.
Yes. Dr. Kishore Mehta, sir, some words from you. Sir's video is frozen.
No.
Okay.
Am I? Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
And can you hear me?
We can hear you, but your video is frozen, I think.
I don't know.
Okay. Sir, we can hear you. Please
Maybe
continue.
some internet problem. Okay.
Yes.
Yesterday, Dr. Munjal
It's 3 o'clock.
called me for his webinar on Boenninghausen repertory. And I was happy that I will now revive my old understanding of Boenninghausen, which he rightly said that it is underestimated and underused. And it is true. Let me admit that I have hardly used Boenninghausen in practice. But since Dr. Munjal, initially somewhere in past also I had heard him, that gives me some idea that yes, Boenninghausen, why I am not using or seldomly using. We had studied Boenninghausen, Kant's, Boenninghausen, all the repertories when I was in ICR, and we did number of cases at that time with the help of Dr. Kasad. And Dr. Kasad, I think, the master of repertorization, where even Dr. M.S. Dhole could not fit his leg in Dr. Kasad's foot as far as repertory is concerned. The very first aspect that we must understand that we are taught that case decides the repertory. The question is who takes the case. That depends on the person who takes the case. The first requirement of using a Boenninghausen repertory is that you will have to learn the art of case taking as demanded. Mind well, art of case taking has changed from time to time by now. But the way in which the homeopathic was practiced during Hahnemann's and Boenninghausen time, and the art of case taking taught by Boenninghausen in his introduction chapter, I think Dr. Munjal rightly said in between that case taking should be as per understanding of materia medica from the point of view of the proving and the basic symptoms which are recorded. So naturally the art of case taking will definitely vary if I want to use or if I have to make exceptionally a good use of Boenninghausen, the case taking as he has described in his therapeutic pocketbook. To consider all the elements of the symptoms with concomitants, every symptoms in the same manner, and then his whole repertory construction itself is suggestive of what is required to fulfill complete case taking. The various chapters or various sections given in repertory in itself is suggestive the art of case taking. The second most important part, as he explains in Boenninghausen, we must have knowledge of repertory. Its philosophical background. What is the philosophical background? Every repertory must have philosophical background, without which you cannot use that. If I have to follow Islam religion, I must understand what Quran speaks of Islam. If I want to be Christian, I must know what Jesus has said. Similarly, if I want to use repertory of Boenninghausen, I must know what philosophical background he is. Mind well, he was a lawyer, he was botanist, and in agriculture, and being scholar, he could integrate the philosophy of total vision of a phenomena. Total vision of phenomena means a specific phenomena which you are observing, and within the range of that particular phenomena, what other phenomena are going on at the same time, and within the range of that particular event. I hope I am understandable to you. What I am trying to tell you is that whatever chief complaint you are saying, during the time of chief complaint, what are other complaints going on around, and understanding of that person from head to foot and his mind. That is the range of that individual. So general range, the specific range and the range around the specific event. There can be one event, there can be many events, there can be one concomitant, there can be many concomitant. The presence of concomitant in itself makes characteristic. This he could give us in Boenninghausen introduction, because Boenninghausen had analytical mind and logical mind which he had gained through his profession of being botanist as well as lawyer. And combining that knowledge, that means how much knowledge of that is so universal that it can be applied even in homeopathy. And whatever he has applied in homeopathy becomes a universal acceptance. Myth has no place. You see, myth occurs when there are doubts. And doubt occurs when you are not completely aware of a given situation. So very important point is learning of philosophical background of Boenninghausen, as well as Kant's. And the construction part, very important, how it is constructed. And what are the limitations? Dr. Munjal brought out the point of contradictory modality. See, what about contradictory modality? There can be 2 or 3 things possible. You consider contradictory modality in repertorization also. You generalize, and you also, if at all you're in case taking your form case is contradictory, take that also as one of the part of repertorization. And see the marks, as he rightly said, that when it is generalized, what are the marks? And when it is contradictory, what are the marks of the drugs which are there in the rubric? Generalization doesn't mean that contradictory modalities are ruled out. No, it is not. That's a wrong concept. And in fact, it is not necessary that after repertorization, whatever maximum marks you get becomes the drug. No, he has already said. I have seen, I was reading Dr. Thaude's book morning. Quite a few cases of Boenninghausen has been there. Particularly Robert's cases has been narrated. Dr. L.D. Thaude's cases are narrated. Please read them. And then you will find that drugs having highest marks are not necessarily being prescribed upon. The final analysis is not the only repertorization work. And more important, Dr. Thode is that conversion of rubrics. And again, your rubric selection ultimately will depend upon how you have taken the case. And therefore, depending upon the way you have taken the case, and if you have taken the case as per what has been prescribed, not say something different than what we are doing even today, something different. But unless we have not taken the case as per his format, we will never be able to understand his, we will not be able to understand his approach to the case. In this case of Dr. L.D. Thode, one of them is very big one. and he has repertorized the case. And Dr. M.L. Dole's case is also. If we read those cases, such a long history has been taken. And after taking long history, what way the rubrics were filtered and put it into Boenninghausen. The same case could have been अरे you're disabled now. My video is disabled by
Yes, sir.
host.
Because
I'm
the
getting
internet
that
bandwidth is
particular
low.
message. Yes,
Sir, now we are able to hear you a little better. But,
please enable video host.
Keyur,
Sir,
Dr.
there is a
Keyur?
problem with the signal. Kishore Mehta, sir, there is a problem with the signal. If I turn on your video, will not be able to hear you. The signal on your side is very bad.
But you are able to hear
No,
me.
we can still not hear you. There is still some
No,
disturbance in your
my
voice.
video is okay.
Sir, we
Hear
have,
me?
sir, your voice is still not audible. Sir, I request you to go to an area in your clinic where we can have little more network.
Can you hear me now?
This
Yes,
is better,
sir.
sir. This is better. Unfortunately, we will not be able to turn on your video. Otherwise, we will not be
Okay.
able to hear you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So please read Principle and Practice of Homeopathy by Dr. where the cases by Roberts are also given, which are solved through Boenninghausen repertory. In actuality, as a teacher of Boenninghausen, but as I told you earlier, I have hardly used this Boenninghausen, and that too some 30 years back. And this advantage is to the modern doctors because they have got such a repertory and such a computer that Boenninghausen has become out of place. So, third aspect is adaptability of repertory. The adaptability of the repertory will be only there when, first of all, we are using, and once we start using, we'll try to get the idea where which case of mine can be best applied for Boenninghausen. And on the basis of this, my case taking and my analysis and my conversion of rubric plays very, very important part. I would like to ask Dr. Mehta or even Dr. Munjal that in Boger Boenninghausen repertory, where the repertory starts, because they are, you can hear me?
Yes, sir. Now I can hear you.
Now you can hear me better, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in the repertory of Boenninghausen, mainly divided into location part, all the anatomical parts, sensations. After sensation, there are glands, bones, skin, sleep, etc., etc. Then modalities, aggravation and amelioration, and then relationship. My only confusion was that hunger, thirst, taste, nausea are given
as a separate chapter.
Yeah.
Just for A's of reference, sir. Very easy to pick up these symptoms, and more frequently we use them, so they have given it separately. That's what I understand.
But they are given in location.
Yes.
That is my
Yes, and if we look, for example, menstruation is given under the female this.
Yeah.
If we look at these separate chapter like vomiting, nausea, the separate chapter within the section of body parts. See, vomiting can happen only through stomach. Menstruation can happen only through the female genital system.
that is correct.
Food and hunger can happen only through the stomach. That is why they are placed under the particulars. It is
Because
not actually particular, but these are symptoms that you cannot say that every organ of the body can produce. Whereas in the chapter sensations and complaints in general, we will find that all those phenomena which any organ can produce is placed under the chapter of sensations and complaints in general. That is the logic.
Fine.
So we should take some more questions now, just for
Yeah.
next 2 minutes.
yeah, please.
We have already overshot the time.
Yeah,
now.
sure. Please
So
go
if
ahead.
we have any, there is one question posted by Dr. Hitesh. He has said, how do we take the symptoms where there are two modalities, like cough in night, sleep? Right. So, Dr. Hitesh, the therapeutic pocketbook has been designed in such a way that if there was a remedy which had the symptom cough in night, sleep, then by default, this remedy will be there under cough as the symptom. It will also be there listed under aggravation at night and listed under aggravation at sleep. So you will find that when you take these three rubrics, we will get that remedy. So I hope that clears the doubt. Any other questions? We have 2 more minutes we can spend, take up 2 or 3 questions. We will try to answer these 3 questions. Dr. Keyur, anybody has posted some questions in the YouTube?
No, sir. None so far. I'll request those attending on Zoom if they have any query, kindly.
If you have
come
any
forward.
queries, yes. Okay. So we will soon launch the modules. Keep watching this space in a very in-depth, hands-on training of the Boenninghausen's work and the therapeutic pocketbook. We are just working on these modules. We will keep you posted. Keep in touch. Do subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much, all of you. Dr. Kishore Mehta, sir, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Kamlesh Mehta, sir, thank you so much for your very valuable inputs. So goodbye, everybody. We see you back again in some more days. Keep watching this space. We will launch a very detailed training program for the therapeutic pocketbook and Boenninghausen's philosophy and concepts. Okay, Dr. Keyur, should we close the meeting now?
Yes, sir. You can click on stop recording.
Okay.
And you will get the option to.
Yeah, stop recording. Yes.
And you get the option to yes. You can just say yes. You have to click on yes.
Yes, we have stopped the recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Goodbye, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Here you'll have to shut this meeting.
Sir, I have made you host. You can click on end meeting for all.
I can't see that button.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.